Good evening. My name is Cecilia Comperatore, and I am the owner of the Essential Toolbox. I started using essential oils about 5 years ago when I tried some lavender to help me rest through the night. And I began using oils in my everyday life for things like head tension, neck and shoulder discomfort, bug bites, and support for anxious feelings, just to name a few. I've used them on myself, my kids, and my grandkids. I have a sensory grandchild who is 4 years old, and we use them on him quite a bit. And I believed in them so much that I became a wellness advocate. And I love sharing the information and the recipes and blends that I feel can help people get relief and support for issues that they have. So for me, it's all about the education with essential oils. The more you know, the better off you are. And with that being said, welcome to my essential oils class on frankincense, Essential Oils 101. And it's the how, what, where, when, and why of using this amazing oil. So frankincense is known as the king of the oils. It is good for many, many things. It comes from the gum or resin of the Boswellia tree, and it's an aromatic resin used in incense, in perfumes. It was traded on the Arabian Peninsula 5,000 years ago. That's a long time ago. Egyptians used it to embalm bodies. Pliny the Elder talked about the use of frankincense medicinally, as well as the Iranian physician Avicenne. He recommended it for a variety of body ailments. And it was used in Chinese medicine, so it was traded as far as China. In fact, when doing research on this, I found that the Romans, who were huge traders, wanted to include frankincense on their trade menu because it was so lucrative. And so they thought that they would go conquer the area where the frankincense trees grew. Only they made a big mistake. They miscalculated the area that their troops would have to travel by foot. And then they also underestimated the arid, dry climate that the trees grew in. So that encounter was a total flop for them. But that just shows you how lucrative it was, and the trade in that. So the word frankincense comes from the Old French, meaning high quality incense. It was found in the tomb of King Tutankhamun, better known as King Tut. And that was in 1922 by Egyptologist Howard Carter. There was a jar that they found in it, had the remnants of a perfumed oil in it. And it actually was coconut oil with spikenard and frankincense in it. And it had survived thousands of years for them to discover. It's used for spiritual and medicinal purposes dating back to ancient civilizations. And it was also given to the baby Jesus by the wise men, along with gold and myrrh. And when I think about the significance of the tomb of King Tut, for instance, things that were put in the tomb of kings had great value and were thought to be useful to them in the afterlife. So that gives you some idea of how valuable the Egyptians thought that frankincense was. And the same thing with the gifts given to the baby Jesus, to be given along with gold and myrrh, that's pretty significant value there for frankincense. So how frankincense is grown? Frankincense trees grow in dry, arid climates. So they are fairly small, the trees. They only grow to 22, 23 feet, and they have abundant narrow leaves and white, pale, or pink flowers. And the trees produce a resin, and they have a bark that peels back, showing a smooth undersurface. Well, the resin is produced by, they make a score in the tree, and then the tree is allowed to cry these tears. As you see in these photos, they kind of look like tears. And then the tears have to dry out before they can collect them. And then they are steam distilled to produce the essential oil. So the art of properly scoring and caring for these trees is actually passed down from generation to generation within families. The children are taught what to do with the trees so they last for the next generation. They have a slim trunk and sometimes grow in very rocky areas. So the farmers have to be very careful getting to them. And then these trees they aren't grown in their neighborhood. They actually have to travel to get to these trees. So it's quite an ordeal for them. And if that's not bad enough, snakes live in these trees. And so they have to smoke the snakes out before they can even get to the tree to try to score it. So it can take months for the entire process, and they can only do it so many times a year because the trees otherwise die earlier if they're scored too many times. So there's only about 4 or 5 trees that can produce true frankincense. And the oil that I use blends 4 of them together. But the trees grow in Ethiopia, Africa, Somalia, and Oman. In Africa, in some areas, it actually grows out of rocks, and they have no idea how it grows there. It's so harsh, and they don't know why the tree grows, but they just do. Over-harvesting is evident in trees that have too many cuts. They are cut too deeply or not allowed to rest sufficiently between cuts. It weakens the tree and results in a reduced harvest. It affects the quality of the resin and a shorter lifespan for the tree. So this is where the education of the harvesters comes into play. Frankincense faces other obstacles besides over-harvesting. Obviously, beetles and development of loss of habitat also affects them. But in the sorting process of the frankincense, that's the job the women do. They actually sort the frankincense tears out, and the highest quality tears go into a pile, and those are the ones they use for steam distillation. Now, the other pile it's an inferior quality. It's not the really good stuff, but it's also sold for other things. So internal use of frankincense may help support healthy cellular function. It may provide a soothing aromatic experience. I'm with Gwen. I love the smell of frankincense. It just has this woody, earthy, wonderful smell to it. It helps reduce the appearance of skin imperfections when applied topically and can help nourish and calm the skin. I use a hydrating cream on my skin, and I actually embellish it with some frankincense and some other oils that I put it in. I love the way that my skin feels after I use it. It's just hydrated and wonderful. It can also help support healthy immune and nervous function when taken internally. And it can promote a soothing experience as part of a massage. And it creates a comforting, uplifting atmosphere when diffused during meditation or reflection. Frankincense oftentimes is used in churches, burned in incense burners. I was raised as a Catholic, and I can remember smelling this smell all the time, and I didn't know what it was. It was frankincense, but yeah, and it's a nice smell, an earthy, wonderful smell. So this is how you can use frankincense. You can use it all 3 ways: aromatically, topically, and internally. Aromatically, obviously a diffuser, smelling from the bottle, my favorite. I have bottles with me everywhere, my purse, my office, my house, and it's not unusual for me to grab a bottle and be sniffing away. I had to use my eucalyptus the other day at work because they were doing some work and using some really harsh cleaning supplies, and I had a really bad reaction to them. And so I got out my eucalyptus for some respiratory support, and I was just standing there at my computer and periodically just sniffing my eucalyptus away, and it really helped a lot. So you can also put drops in your hands. You could put a couple drops in your hands and then rub them together and make a tent over your nose, avoiding your eyes, and breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, and do that 5, 6, 7 times, whatever feels good to you. You can put them on the floor of the shower out of the stream of water. You can use a passive diffuser. I've seen some that are coasters that are pretty cool. They're like coral rock, and you put the essential oil in the holes. It's pretty neat. There's essential oil jewelry, which is great for small places. If you're in an office or somewhere and you don't want to bother anybody with the smell, you think they won't like it, you could just use it. It's just a pendant on a necklace, and the pendant has a pad in it, and you drop some drops on there, and then you can just lift it up and smell it as needed. There's the hot, you can put it in hot water. And that's great for nurturing your skin and your airways. You use hot but not boiling water, and you use 1 to 3 drops of oils, and you lean over the bowl and breathe through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And you can put a towel over it for an increased effect. I love doing that one. That's a good one. Then there's an EO inhaler. It looks like a tube, and it has a cotton wick on the inside. It has a cap, and you take the cap off and you drop drops onto the cotton wick, and then you can actually pull the cap off during the day and smell it and put it back on. That's a good one to use as well. And aromatically has such a great effect because of the fact that our olfactory bulb above the bridge of our nose directly connects to the limbic system in our brain, and that controls memories, emotions, things like that. So that's why aromatic use can be so effective. I think you've all had the experience where you smell something from your childhood, and it just brings back a memory to you, a good one. You're like, oh, my grandmother, oh, we did this. We were making cookies, we made apples. For me, it's the smell of Paladin black cherry tobacco. Whenever I smell a guy smoking a pipe with that, I have flashbacks of my father, because my father used to smoke it. And as kids, we used to lean over the seat, like we'd be like, oh, I want to smell it. I want to smell it. When he'd open his tobacco, we'd all have to lean over the seat and take turns to smell it. So for me, that's my trigger with that. But that's how it works. It's the same mechanism that essential oils work by. So topically, you can use it also in a roller ball on your forearms, wrist, above the heart, along the spine, around the neck, on the belly or the feet. The belly and the feet are really good for babies and little kids. They're good for me too. I use them there as well. But internally, you can take it also in a 0 capsule. This is a 0 capsule right here. It's basically an empty capsule. It has a large end and a small end. And you take your dropper, I use a dropper. I'm not a good shot with a bottle of oil. I miss. So I have droppers on my bottles that I use internally. And so I drop them into the long end of the capsule, put the short end on, and then I take them with some water, obviously. You can just drop them in water. Frankincense can be used in water. Actually, right now I have a glass of water with spearmint and kumquat in it. I use it to make water not taste so boring, because I really don't like water. It's kind of yucky. And so I use my essential oils to flavor them and get other benefits as well. So you can use it with children in water also, but just remember 6 years and older and with greater dilution. Kids are smaller beings, so you're always going to use a lesser amount. You can never go wrong with a smaller amount. So can I use internally? This is what you want to look for in a bottle. This says essential oil blend. No, you cannot take that internally. This says essential oil. No. This is what you want to look for. Essential oil supplement facts. Those oils you can take internally. And if I was going to take an oil internally, I would check the bottle for that. And that way I would know that I could use that oil internally. Here's an essential oil solution chart. Remember, these are guideline suggestions, not absolute rules. Okay. Improper dilution is one of the ways that essential oil usage will fail, because you need to use the proper amount for what you're trying to achieve. So what it does is it lists the milliliter bottle you're going to use, 5, 10, or 30. I use 5, 10, and 15, sometimes 30, not too often. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to look at the guidelines, and you're going to go to the age that you want to use it for. So birth to 12 months is 0.3 to 0.5% dilution. 6 to 11 years is 1.5 to 3% dilution. 12 to 17 is 1.5 to 20% dilution. 18 years and older, 1.5% dilution to neat, which is no dilution. Elderly or sensitive skin is 1 to 3% dilution. Daily use is 2 to 5% dilution. Short-term use, 10 to 25% dilution. And local skin or systemic issues is 50% dilution to neat, which is undiluted. So basically, you just take the bottle you're going to use, 5, 10, 30, look at your dilution rate up here. Say it's a 2%. So I'm going to use a 10 milliliter. I want 2%. I want to go 10 milliliter. Here's 2%, 10 milliliter. I want to put 4 drops in there. And the rest I'm going to fill up with a carrier oil like fractionated coconut oil with the lid on, shake, and use. It's that simple. But you just have to use the proper amounts. And I always tell people, if you're using something right now and you're using actually less than it is for on here for your age group or for say a local or systemic skin issue, whatever, if you're using a smaller amount and it works, keep it that way. Listen to your body. That's what you need. If that's you smaller amount is what you need, then you stick with the smaller amount. You can always change it later on or add something if need be. So there's a picture of a frankincense plant right there. That's what the flowers look like. They're actually really pretty. They can be, I often wonder what they smell like. Do they smell like frankincense? I don't know. I'd like to experience that. Frankincense can be applied topically, neat, which we mentioned. It can be used for skin issues. So if you have something, some issue with your skin, you want to put a little bit of it on, you can feel free to right out of the bottle. It's good. It's calming, so it's good for emotional support. And it has a rich, warm, woody, sweet smell, which we discussed earlier. And it can be used for support for discomfort, can be used daily. It can be used for anxious feelings. You can use it aromatically for that. And it's not a photosensitive oil, so you can put it on and then go out into the sun. You can use frankincense with animals. If it works for people, you can use it in animals usually. These are pictures of 3 of my favorite 4-footed furry friends, a small, medium, and a large dog. You can use in a spray with lavender and vetiver for dogs for anxious feelings. They can help calm your pet's nerves. It's calming, so it can calm their nerves. And since frankincense is good for skin support, it can be used in a hot spot spray with lavender and myrrh. I actually had to use this on a dog one day. I didn't have any myrrh with me, but I had the frankincense and lavender, and I used that, and it worked like a charm. It was great. They stopped itching right away. That was driving me crazy. It actually was this little guy here. You can use it preventatively in a gentle shampoo with lavender for skin support. This dude I used the lavender with regularly in his baths. And after about a minute, 30 seconds a minute, he just went in the tub, and he was just a big lump of dog, or a little lump of dog. He weighed about 4 pounds, but he loved his baths. And then I could rub all his joints and run the hose up his, the water up his spine. And he absolutely ate it all up. He loved it. So there's also a dilution chart for dogs. It's different for people. So you need to use that as well when you are using essential oils on your dog. And this is it. It's courtesy of the essential oil vet, Dr. Janet Rourke. And it works the same way as one for a person, as for people do. So it's got the size of the bottles on here, and then the percentage of drops. And you just look up the animal that you're going to use it for under here. And as you can see, for the smaller animals like the cats, it's 0.5 to 2%. But if you look at horses, hot oils are 5 to 10% for them, but otherwise you can use them undiluted with horses. But horses are huge animals, so that goes without saying. You could use them that way with horses. But yeah, you just do the same thing. Locate the bottle and the percentage, and use the appropriate drops. Fill the remainder up with carrier oil, and voila, there you go. You're good to go. So I looked up some studies on frankincense. I was kind of curious as to how many there actually were. So I used 5 sites actually, and there's a ton of them. These are just a drop in a bucket. And you can see the individual listings of studies on each one of them. And I think between all of them, it was between 13 and 14,000 studies just off 5 sites. And some of them may be, duplicated. I don't know, but they were very interesting. A lot of them. I love PubMed. PubMed's like my favorite. And what I do is I kind of go on and look at their target, like what they're using it for, what they're trying to disprove or prove, who they're using it with, what's the dynamic? Is it, older people, younger people? And then I see how they did it. Is it aromatic? Is it topical? And then at the end, I like to look at what the result actually is from it. Some of them are really interesting, but if you want to have a look at that, you can see some of the things that they're currently studying frankincense for and with. It's quite interesting. Aha, here's that recipe. So this is a topical roller for discomfort. I actually use this one twice a day. I have head, neck, and shoulder discomfort a lot. And so this is what I use. I actually layer this with deep blue rub twice a day. And if I go to bed and I don't have this on, my shoulders, I can feel the tension and I get up and put it on. I mean, it's just, I can't do without it. It works wonders for me. So it's 10 drops of lemongrass, 10 drops of marjoram, 10 drops of frankincense, and you put all those in a 10 milliliter roller bottle, top it off with fractionated coconut oil, and then shake, and then you just apply as needed. I make these in 15 milliliters for me because of using them twice a day. But yeah, it works wonderfully. So for internal use, I use this also. 6 drops of marjoram or oregano, whatever you have on hand. Marjoram to me, I don't know. I just like marjoram. It seems to work better for me. But if oregano is what you have and you like it, it does the thing for you, then you just keep using that. Use 6 drops of frankincense, 6 drops of lemongrass, and you put them in the empty veggie caps and you take every 3 to 4 hours as needed. I've used these when I've had super head tension and I'm laying in a dark room with my eyes shut in bed. I've used them and they do work really, really well. So that's the recipe of the evening. And this is my card. If you have a question after the presentation tonight, or if you're watching the recording and you have a question, this is how you reach me. The Essential Toolbox at AOL.com. You can also reach me at 239-825-3809. You can text me. I love texting. I work all day, so sometimes I can't answer the phone, but I can text. 9 times out of 10, I can text. I'm a doTERRA wellness advocate. My number is 6125349, and my website is my.doterra.com/the Essential Toolbox. Make sure you use the 2 dots or you won't find it. It's just the way it's set up with 2 dots. But yes, and I thank you for spending time with me this evening and sharing my class on frankincense.